Welcome back to the Garden State Outdoors and Podcast presented by Boondocks Hunting. I'm your host, Mike Nitre.
I'm Peyton Smith.
And we got a special one for you guys. We have our Rut Madness Part 2 coming for you guys. We're going to be giving you guys weekly updates every week now until the season's over. Justin, Peyton, and I, we all decided we actually really like this weekly update scenario that we got going on right now. We're not going to just do it for the rut. We're going to keep it going for the rest of the year, with waterfowl season and all different types of things coming afloat. So there's a lot of things going on, but we're going to give you guys a little bit of more of an update with the rut in different locations. Kyle just got back home from Kentucky, and Dave out on Long Island, Long Island. A little different perspective on how their season's going and what type of activity they are seeing. So guys, welcome back.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, guys?
So Kyle, why don't you go first, and we'll have you go first, and then I'll get into the rest of the stuff.
Alrighty, so I went to last Friday night. I left for Kentucky. I was only going to go for like 3 days, maybe 4 days, and I ended up staying there all week. I had high hopes going into it. I think I timed it correctly, but I didn't at all. So I was looking at the weather, and their rifle season had started this past Saturday on Veterans Day. And the week leading up to it, I figured would be a good time to try to catch the early spot, like the early phase of the rut. And I didn't at all. It was really, really slow. It got up to like mid 70s during the day, or in the mornings, it was like high 40s. That was pretty much from Saturday until like Wednesday. And then Thursday night, the front was coming in and it was going to change. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to stay till Friday, and I'm going to hunt pretty much all day Friday. I hunted all day Tuesday, half the day. I got out for like an hour on Wednesday. And then Thursday, I hunted in the morning a little bit. And then the neighbor was cutting the beans, and it was just a disaster. And then Thursday night, I got into the spot on this one farm that I've been hunting. And I get up in the stand, and I got in there super early too. And it's a big bean field, and at the backside of the bean field, it drops down to a bottom, and it's real thick and nasty down there. And a lot of those deer like to come up from that. So I had like high hopes going into it. The pressure system was starting to go on the rise, and it was starting to get cooler in the afternoon. So I'm like, dude, this is perfect. Like, does are going to come out here, and these bucks are going to scent check them. So I get up in the stand, walk all the way back there, get up in there. I'm setting the camera up. I'm setting everything up. And the farmer starts up the combine. I'm like, all right, whatever. And he's plowing the other side of the field. And the sunset from Jersey to Kentucky is about a half-hour difference. So the sunset was like 5:20 over there. And sure as shit, he decides to drive the combine between 4:30 and 5:30 right in front of my stand. And he knew what he was doing, because there's a really big deer on that farm. And I had a feeling like he knew what he was doing, because when I was hunting the stand across the road, I parked on that side of the road. So like I'm parked over here. So obviously I'm over on this side. I parked on this side of the road. Obviously I'm over on this side. And there's no way he didn't see me walking across the bean field, because he was outside working on the combine. So I got up in the stand, and I was just, when he drove by, I was so pissed. I mean, he was 10 yards from me, and just the anger, like I thought that was going to be the night. Like I said, the stars started to align a little bit. So that night was shot. Friday morning, I get in the stand, cold, like super, super cold. Like I didn't put on enough layers cold. And I'm like, oh man, this is it. Here we go. And the farmer just wanted to put the York rake on his tractor and regrade the driveway. That's like 2,000 yards long. So I had to listen to that for like an hour, and I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm getting out of the stand. Like, there ain't nothing coming in. This is not going the way that I wanted to. Like, I wanted to hunt all day in there. So that stand, it's like a bowl in between like the bean fields. And no matter, and what I figured out was, no matter which way, if it was a north wind, I needed a north wind. It didn't matter if it was a north or if it was a southwest. It didn't matter. Every time that wind hit me in the bowl, it was in my face, which was good. But the wind would hit the edge of the bowl behind me and swirl back. And I didn't get picked off. I saw a couple does like throughout the week there. I saw like 120-inch 8 trot on by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon the one night. But it just, the way that the wind would hit the side of that bowl, like I said, it could have came in from any direction, but just the way that it was swirling down there, it just really wasn't like, and I had been in there all week, and, so obviously my scent was in there. And so I decided to go back Friday night. I decided to go back to the first farm that I was hunting, and it's like 150-inch 10, and he's got a bunch of trash halfway throughout his beam. Like, he's a freaking stud of a buck. I'm in that stand, and bunch of does start piling out, and there was a little forkhorn was just grunting his head off. And then up the ridge behind me, like 150 yards, and I mean, it's steep, up behind me as I was climbing down the ladder, I just heard like the deepest grunt I've heard ever. And I was like, that's it. Like, he was right there. So that was it, man. The next morning was the rifle season, and I really wasn't, mentally I was drained, physically I was drained, lugging all the camera equipment in and out. And there was a couple hunts that I sat, or I didn't even bring my camera. And sometimes I just brought my GoPro just because I was so drained. And where I'm at in Kentucky, yeah, there's a lot of ag fields and stuff, but it's mountains, like freaking mountains. Like, it took me, I mapped it on Onyx. It's a half a mile up the face of this mountain, and you got to turn. It took me 38 minutes to get to the stand in one morning. And it's tough, man. And you get in your head, and mentally you just start getting drained, and physically you start getting drained, and you're just like, dude, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is so stupid. This is pointless. So I reached that point 100% by Friday when I got out of the woods. I was done. I drove home like the first 3 hours. I didn't have the radio on. I didn't have nothing, dude. I just kept to myself. I just needed that quiet time. I really had hope that, that hunt was gonna end up working out for me. And, hunting out of state for 8 years and not tagging out, which is my personal goal, is obviously to shoot like 150-inch deer bigger, and I've passed more 130, 140-inch deer than a lot of people would. I've said it before. People think, you're stupid for doing that. You're wasting all this money going out there. You're wasting tags, blah, 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 blah. Well, if I've done it for the last 8 years, what's another year at this point? You know what I mean? I'm sticking to my guns, and I'm not pulling the trigger unless it's a giant, That's just a personal goal of mine. But so that was Kentucky. And then of course, Saturday morning, it was a low of like 32, and it was opening day of rifle season. It was going to be a high of like mid 40s, low 50s, maybe, for like 5 days straight. So it was like, they shot a couple good bucks, but like I said, I'm not really a gun hunter. So, but Jersey, for me, I really haven't hunted much. My cameras, November 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, pile of bucks showing up. Pile of bucks. Breeze buck showed up. The other buck showed up. The one camera that I have that had a freaking giant on it, the camera died like 2 days after I was in Kentucky, so I didn't watch it all week last week, and I was pissed. So that was kind of a bummer. But no, I'll get last week, and I would say up until today, I've had, midday movement bucks coming in, checking some scrapes here and there, but not like super, like not a lot. But they're still chasing. I think that we're more so on that lockdown phase now, as far as the bigger mature bucks. Yeah, there's a couple of 2-3-year-olds running around and stuff, but every big, decent buck that I've seen, whether it was driving to work or whatever, he was locked down on a doe like 100%. So I think right now we're kind of in that lockdown phase. We're kind of transitioning into that right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely will agree on that. I definitely think one of the big boys that I'm after, he's been locked down, and Peyton knows this. I've been saying this for the last couple of days because he was consistently daylighting. Of course, while I was at work, and I'll get more into that when I talk about my week and everything like that. But Kyle, where you were, was that the outfitting company you used to be with?
No, I still work. I work for a different outfitter. I do the marketing, social media management, and all that stuff. So, I kind of got a good gig with that, only because I go and I can hunt over 10,000 acres in Ohio. I can hunt over 5,000 acres in Kentucky, but it's not like the properties that I hunt aren't properties that our clients hunt.
Mm-hmm.
They're different properties. Now, if there's a couple properties where, there's a big deer on it and we haven't had any clients on it, or whatever the case may be, yeah, I'll hop on that property. But my buddy leases, 2 or 3 farms just for us. So if the clients are out or we don't have clients or whatever, we're still able to hunt and we're not pressuring the farms that we do have for the clients. So we got a good
Makes
thing.
sense.
Really.
Yeah, no, that's definitely great. Anywhere, with them, and how the clients have been doing this year, what type of movement's been going on the last couple of weeks, even in Ohio too, because I know you're out in Ohio usually every year and everything like that. And were you there this year earlier? I don't.
Ohio? No, I went.
Yeah.
I was in Kentucky for the opener, and then I went back to Kentucky. I wasn't. So I normally go to, like, last week is the week that I go to Ohio every year, and I normally just hunt Kentucky the opener. But with the tags being so expensive now, I was like, I'm not gonna pay like almost $300 for a Kentucky tag to hunt it 2 days, for me to go drop another 100 something or 200 something dollars for an Ohio tag to hunt for 5 days. Like, no, I have a tag in this state. I'm going back to this state. So this year is the first year in 8 years that I didn't hunt Ohio. But the season's not over yet. So
Yeah.
kinda,
Well, you listen. You're not that you're running out of hunting season for hunting, but you're running out of time there. And I will say this: I was very shocked to not get a Snapchat saying Bree just killed that buck. I just wanna put that out there. I was really surprised because the minute you said wrote that Bree was out hunting, and then she said, "Oh, he's here," I was like, "Oh, she's gonna get one." But
dude, that spot, man, they like never hit the camera. Like, they always circle it and come around, and like the deer, they do dumb shit in there where she's at. I don't understand it, but she's like had some does come in, I guess, or whatever, and then it was dead for like 2 hours, and then she's like, "There's nothing here." Like 90 seconds later, he's here. I'm like, dude, are you joking me right now? Like, but yeah, I was really wanting her to kill that deer because I felt bad. Like, we gotta, having a family and everything. Like, you gotta compromise. And she told me to stay out in Kentucky, and the idea was for me to come home that Monday night or that Tuesday morning and have her hunt Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because those are the days that she wanted to hunt. So I was like, yeah, I'll go to Kentucky a couple days, then you hunt your 3 days, and then I'll hunt the rest of the week or whatever. And but she's like, nah, just stay out. Like, you're already out there, and you might as well, try to get it done. But of course, those 3 days her buck daylighted, and she's texting me. She's like, wow, weird. It's like, I know when my buck was gonna show up. I'm like, shut up. Whatever. But yeah, I really thought she was gonna end up killing that deer, but still got some time left. I
definitely.
I'm not like, now with like daylight savings, like it just makes it even worse because I don't leave work until it's freaking dark now. So it's like, and then on the weekends, it's like, you know, it's tough for me and her to both get out. So I'm really probably not gonna hunt unless that big deer shows back up. Which I have a weird feeling that like around Thanksgiving he's just gonna pop up for like 2 or 3 days, like daylight, and then he's just gonna be gone for the rest of the year. For some odd reason, and my gut keeps telling me that.
Yeah.
But
Definitely. Well, man, I hope all the hard work. I hope you get it done soon. You know, and we talk every day and everything like that. So like, it's gonna come, and I mean, I imagine Bree's gonna. I know Bree's probably gonna kill one before, you know, the due date here, and before the third one is here. Listen, Kyle has been plotting his own hunting army here. No, what'd you say that day? What'd you say? No, he said you're gonna have enough kids that you can during 6 day you guys can go do deer drives.
oh yeah, I'm gonna have enough kids where we can do deer drives for 6 day. Oh, dude, I'm done. Third one's coming in February, and I'm done. I'm done.
Snip.
Hang on. I said that after the first one.
You did say that.
I'm done.
Then you said it after the second one.
I did.
And then you're like, dude, I did it again.
Yeah. I'm bad.
Oh.
It's
Well,
tough, man. It's like I said, I've I say it all the time. It's tough to balance, hunting and work, and trying to get her out and then trying to get me out, and it's like it's tough. That's why every year I try to, the last 3 years I've been trying to get her out and get it done early on. So then it's like, okay, she shot her buck, I go do what I want now, pretty much. So it's been a grind this year for sure, but I don't see it'll happen. It always does.
definitely will, man. But all right, bro. I know you gotta get going and tuck the little ones in.
Yep.
We'll get you on. You got a free invite, so whenever you want to come on, and we'll talk, and we'll get you back on, and we still need the dynamic duo episode. We got to get that one going too as well.
I keep on saying it, man. I keep on saying it to her.
We'll get that one going. But all right, Kyle. Thanks for hopping on, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Yep.
Later,
Good
bud.
luck the rest of this year, man.
Right.
You too, man. See ya.
Man, tough.
Yeah. But from what he was saying, and it's like we talked about this not that long ago, and talked about the different things that make whitetail hunting so unique. And this is like there's so many different ways that you can whitetail hunt. We talked about putting food on the table. Just hunting. Wanting to shooting a pile of them, to whack them and stack them. Using the manicuring the land if you have it, or patterning and targeting specific deer. And I think it's really cool that he's had that discipline to just have a goal and to chase that goal, and then eventually you'll get there and it'll be all the more worthwhile. So it's another reason why I think whitetail hunting is such a unique style, especially since
Definitely.
it's the most readily available to everyone.
100.
Just make so many different ways to do it.
100%. I'm gonna get real quick into the main update from my cousin, and then Dave's gonna go. Then I'm gonna hit Bobby's update, and then we'll talk a little more, and then we'll call it here. But like I said, my cousin's out in Maine right now. He had shot his second buck in the last 2 years there. Very tough state to hunt, especially out where they are in the deep woods of Maine. But what he said, basically, honestly, it was pretty simple. Honestly, we haven't seen much activity pertaining to the rut. He goes, all the deer we've seen don't act like they've been getting pushed around by bucks. The one I shot was trying to cross the road and didn't know what to do with himself, and he froze. Right. And I literally told him, I was like, man, I wish that would happen. Like, I wish I had a deer that would just freeze there and just not do anything. Completely opposite of how he killed his buck last year. And then the good thing is the weather. It started to snow over there, so it's real cold. Started to snow, and that's when they got out. They knew deer would be moving, and 100% deer were moving. They have not seen many scrape lines, but they've been seeing rubs. Um, you know, they said, you just kind of what Kyle was saying too. You just got to kind of get lucky. You hope you're gonna plan it correctly, but you really don't know, and you kind of got to get the luck of the draw. What days or which weeks you're gonna pick. Same thing with with all of us here. We look at our work schedule, we look at the weather, we're like, all right, we think that this day is going to be good, and in our head it's going to be a great day, but then we can have a day where we don't see anything. We see one deer. We see, so sometimes I think as much as, and I think Peyton's told me this the other day, like we overthink things a little too much. And, sometimes it just does not work out, and you do need that luck. You need that luck of a doe being hot and her coming in, you need a little bit of luck when we're doing this.
I mean, it comes down to and to think it's anything else would be fooling yourself. It's a series of educated guesses that you have to make, educated guesses to put yourself on the X and kind of do the mental math on like what gives you the best odds, because at the end of the day, it still is a roll of the dice. Now you can do things to try to weigh the dice in your favor a little bit more, but that luck plays a giant part because you can't read their minds. So it's really up to them.
We can, as much as we can look into the weather. But listen, at the end of the day, we don't know the weather until, it. Like, I had no idea. Today's hunt. I had no idea it was going to rain or ice. It actually was icing today. But I looked it did not say that at all. Now, is that a good thing to me? Yeah, it definitely is a good thing. And that's what you kind of want to see. But like, you just don't know until, you need that perfect condition. You can have the wind swirling on you. Peyton told me the other day, he went out and what the wind said on the map was not what the wind he was getting when he actually got down there.
Quite opposite. Yeah.
Exactly. So there is luck involved in that.
And that could, also like Kyle was talking with those terrain features, swirling the wind, it's like also really important to pay attention to that. And I think one of the things that I'm going to do going forward is I think I'm going to start right now for my wind checker. I'm using those little bottles, the puffer. And I think I'm definitely going to start switching to that milkweed where you can see how it kind of moves for a longer distance. Yeah. I think it's important. And because right now it's, I'm limited to, bless you. I'm limited to like this much room,
Yeah.
So
I definitely agree. Actually, I actually got to go check it. The millweed should be in the mail. I got the hunting Publix little millweed. I saw it was cheap. I was like, yeah, but because I use the spray too, but you're limited on, you really want to see where it goes down and how things are pulling and everything like that to get a direct idea of, what the wind and thermals are doing. But as I was saying with Maine, he said that typically they don't really start seeing rut activity till the third week of rifle season, which that would be starting this week, which I was really surprised by that because it's such a colder state that I would have thought, and I feel like the days are a little shorter up there than it is over here, closer to Canada and everything like that, that the rut would be a little before ours. Maybe activity would start a little sooner. That's usually my, thinking, but it's always for me, we're not scientists, we're not, like, you just don't know. But, and then also, this morning they had a pretty cool encounter. They saw a young bull crossing the road this morning, and as soon as he got into the wood line, a massive bull stepped out and started following the other one. So they've been seeing some moose, and they saw a lynx, a beautiful lynx. I've only seen a paw of a lynx. I've yet to see a lynx in Maine. I've seen bobcat, coyotes, foxes. So lynx, a full lynx and black bear are the only animals in Maine I've yet to see. So it is a really unique thing. So Peyton, we definitely got to get up there for a hunt next year. For a
Enough of them
few
bears
days.
around here, though.
Yeah.
I'm good on those.
Listen, Maine. Well, here's the thing. You don't. I'm telling you, I've been going to, and I tell people this all the time. I've been traveling to Maine since I was a little kid. I go every summer, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Never seen a black bear in Maine. I've gone up and where my family's gone before me, and they've seen bears. But when I get up there, nothing. I've seen moose. I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of moose. I've seen deer. I've seen everything. I've seen bobcats. We just not a Maine black bear, and it is different. Everything's bigger in Maine.
Yeah.
The deer, the does are like our bucks. I am telling you, it is so different, and everything's so big there. It is absolutely remarkable. But that's the update for you guys in Maine. Dave, let's hear the update so far of your season in Long Island.
All right. So, I mean, I was talking to Peyton before we got going here. I dropped the dough earlier in the season, so that's good. That kind of takes the pressure off. You got meat in the freezer. It's just a good boost of confidence. Your equipment's good. It's like, all right, let's roll into it now. Let's roll into late October, early November. Honestly, I'm a big fan of the Moultrie cameras. I've been running, I think I'm up to 6 of them now, and they were doing good. I was very happy with my location, combining them with a scent rope and, a lot of them in swampy areas, and they were producing, honestly, for the most part, right at the edges of daylight, whether it was just, favoring the nighttime daylight or just before sunrise. And for late October, I'm like, you know what, this isn't bad. Just for them to be on the cusp of daylight like that, either direction. I'm like, in a week or two, this should be good. So I kind of last season was my first season really fully on public land, and I caught myself spreading myself too thin. I was trying too many different spots. Like, all right, I would hunt the morning, sit. Oh, I didn't see nothing. Let me go to a completely different area for the afternoon. And in a way that was good because last season I got to learn, I was doing my scouting while I was hunting, which in a way helped me prepare for this season. I didn't have to do as much scouting, but mainly I'm concentrating now. Let's say instead of trying to hunt 10 different areas, I took 3. I'm like, I'm going to commit to these 3. One of them I felt good about, and I've had good hunts there in the past. So instead of trying to get all over the place, I'm like, look, take this one spot and literally hunt it from corner to corner, all directions. Learn that patch of woods, learn what's there, really diagnose it. And that's where I started getting more success with the cameras, getting some good bucks on camera. And you get in towards that first week of November, you get a lot of pressure on the public land. You see a lot more hunters at the spots. So that's definitely a reality. Guys that come in, this may be their only week to hunt. So, you don't really know where they're going, what time they're coming in. I know one guy came in real late on one morning. It is what it is, though. You got people walking their dogs, riding their bikes. They're enjoying the weather too. But it's like really like a half hour before dark or a half hour after sunrise. You got to come through with your electric bike. It's like, ugh. But it is what it is. I caught myself doing I did an all day sit in October, end of October. That one didn't bother me. That was right on the edge of a rain band that was moving through. So it was the one, and I think I talked to you about it, Mike, where it ended up just being way too hot. It ended up being like 80 degrees in the afternoon, and it was just that was me kind of trying to force the situation. Like the morning sit was good. It was only in like the 50s in the morning. I knew it was going to get warm, but 80 degrees, end of October, I could have just pulled the plug, sat till 10:30 and just, call it a day at that point, or leave and come back for the last hour or two in the afternoon. So that, and that was on me. I kind of, like I said, that was me trying to force a scenario, force a hunt. You got to take what the woods is giving you, what the deer are giving you. and you got to be able to read that, to diagnose that. So you can kind of learn, if you make a mistake, you learn from it, you apply that moving forward, and as long as you learn from it, that's all. Recently, more recently, I did another all day sit today. And again, Mike, we were just talking about this, and maybe Peyton, you heard a little bit of it. I was in the same spot as I was yesterday morning, where covered up in doze by like 6:15, 6:30. I was able to grunt in, that half rack buck, or he broke off. It would have been a real nice buck. And he came right in, came running in underneath me. It was a great encounter. And I'm like, here we go. This is it. And I've had one good encounter with one of my shooter bucks, but he came in, he was at like 60 yards, and he just kind of was doing his thing. He didn't know I was there. I feel comfortable saying that because he was just doing his thing. And instead of turning towards me, he just kind of kept on his path. So I was like, shit. 20 more yards, man. And that's a shot. And it's one of those big ones I've had on camera. And so I feel like I'm one step behind in a way. I don't want to say, I don't know that piece that I'm missing. I'm missing one piece of the puzzle, whether it's luck, timing, all the above. I don't know enough about like barometric pressures and all that. Like I know wind and, temperatures and all that we need for November. One thing that I realized today was the pressure was a lot higher this morning, and I had good activity. Even though the temperature stayed the same, the wind stayed pretty constant. As the day went on, the pressure was going down. So whether or not that equals a slow afternoon for me, I don't know. But for it to be in the 30s with a light wind roughly out of the north in November, I mean, if you had to take a chance, that's a good day to do an all day sit. It just was a slow afternoon, but that's kind of the, risk versus reward. So I chose today to try and do it, but to no avail. Not yet.
And that goes back to what we're saying. Like, yeah, what, you typically, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but the higher the pressure, usually the deer are going to be moving a little more.
I think overall that would be like simply
right?
put, like it was over like 30, I guess it's measured in inches at that point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was over 30, like almost like 30.5 this morning. I said, "Ooh,
Yeah.
nice." I'll combine that with low 30 temperature and a light wind. I'm like, that's
Perfect.
home run for November. One thing I have been noticing, which I like in general, a lot of does. Everywhere I go, where all my cameras are, I got a lot of does around me. So that's good. I kind of have like a saying, like in my does I trust, because overall,
you have to. Yeah.
So it is odd when you get covered up with these does and then you have nothing around. Like where is even that young buck, like just kind of around bumping them? And it's like, that's the weird part.
And that's what we were talking about. Peyton and I talk now every single day, especially when we're out in the woods. Like we're running so much stuff by each other. Like we pull up to each other. Like we sit after we hunt and we talk. We call each other. We're running so many things by each other. And something that we're coming to conclusion is, where is, like, even today I had a lone doe come in. And you would think at this time of the year, even a little spike or something should be following. Now, I don't think she's 100% not in heat. You could tell that already. They're, the glands that she has down, they're white still.
Okay.
Yeah, I know they usually turn.
Sorry about the toss-up glands?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know they, well, correct me if I'm wrong, yet again, they turn black usually once they start getting
dark
into
brown,
heat, and
I think,
you start dark brown, black, whatever, it's just a discolored,
like
right?
a stain.
And that they get stained. That was white. So to me, that's showing she's not ready yet. Maybe the does that are ready, like Kyle said, the bigger mature bucks are probably already, bedded down and everything with them, but something.
And he made a good point. We might be on that transition phase from that hardcore running, chasing aspect, and we're right on that transition of lockdown phase. And that's where maybe get, all right, this 6-point is going to bump a doe or two, maybe a young 8. You'll see him run around in the morning a little bit, but I think we're on the tail end, because I have had maybe 4, maybe 5 sits where I had good full on, I'll call it full rut activity with the full chasing. One of it was even with I don't know if you saw the video. I had a piebald getting chased around, which that was my first
Yep.
experience with one of them. Freaking thing ended up getting chased right under me. I mean, as far as I wasn't going to shoot it because I heard it's bad luck if you shoot them.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I've heard too. Yeah.
so I just kept the camera going. So I mean, as far as like what we're all trying to do here and getting some footage, you know, that's all great and good, but it's I gotta let an arrow go sooner or later here.
You listen. You're preaching, because I have yet to even get that dough, which I like. I've talked about so many times, and I preach about this. And like you said, you get that meat in the freezer. It takes a little bit of weight off your shoulders. I'm still very confident. And I was talking to American Mike today. Congratulations to American Mike.
Yes.
Smoked a giant on was that Sunday on Sunday. So huge congrats to him. We'll be getting him on, to complete our Free American Mike campaign part 2 episode with him. But
back with a vengeance, that man.
Yeah, back with a vengeance. Back, and I don't blame him at all. I don't at all. And that's it was needed, and I'm very happy for him. Like, so kudos to him. But man, the last few times I've had these does, yesterday had that, or today had that doe. I drew back just to, yet again, you're seeing what you can get away with. You want to make sure everything is still good, that you can draw back slowly and everything like that. So you're going through the motions. It was hard. It was so hard. Like, whenever I do that, I don't look at it as, that's food right there. And I start to get hungry.
If I was you, man.
Yeah, listen. I start to get hungry. Even the doe that I drew back on the other on Saturday's hunt, she was a big doe. This would have been a really nut. And I was like, you know what? I was like, girl, you're very lucky. I need does around where we are hunting. Peyton and I, that is my only concern, and it's been my concern for the past 2-3 years, is this time of the year it's so much harder because the buck to doe ratio, I tell people, is like 7-3.
I really don't see many does there at all.
We don't see many does,
hardly at all. I mean,
leaving your area to go and
okay,
which you still get them and you still see them, but it's
far and few. The big mature bucks, if they find what they have there, and then they're definitely leaving. Right. But it's also, you're limiting yourself because you want to find those does. You want good numbers of does. And then it also makes it harder because, that's why you're not going to see me go shoot 3, 4, 5 does, because I really can't do that. I'm not in an area where I can. So I'll take one, I'll take maybe 2, bounce it between different spots. But like, I still usually will be like, hey, you know what? I need that doe to stay around for this time of the year. Today, I need that doe because she's not hot, but I guarantee you, if not by the end of the week, by next week, those 2 does will be hot does.
If I wanted to shoot a doe this year, I'm maybe one shot opportunity I've had. Oh, actually no, 2 or 2 this year. Just this year in general. I've had shot opportunities, on little bucks, little fork horns and spikes and everything like that. But even if I wanted to shoot a doe, my very limited. And I think it tells you a lot about just counting the deer that I've seen. And I count on one hand how many does in that area.
Which, if you're chasing big bucks for this time of the year, it's a great it is like, or if you're chasing big bucks, this is a great problem to have. Like, we're not complaining about, but when you're looking to fill the freezer, when you're looking to let an arrow fly, when you're looking also for the rut for this time where you really want to see that chasing, that's where you get the downfall. And I guarantee this summer, I already know my list. Like I told you last time we talked, Dave, we've gone over this before. You're already checking off the stuff that you need to do for next year. You're already getting that list together. You're already collecting your intel for, it's just a revolving door. That right there is going to find outside of where we are, a whole new area where it has a lot of does. I want a doe magnet spot. I don't care if there's big bucks there. I was telling Peyton, one of my spots, I was like, I need does, and I found does, and I was like, yes, like I got does. And then a big buck showed up, and I was like, oh my god. And
which is exactly why I shot that deer in Maryland this year. It's like a 7-acre piece that we turkey hunt, but there's just piles and piles of does just moving through. And I was talking to my dad that day. It was just like, he's like, well, let's go out, you shoot a deer, get some meat in the freezer. And I was thinking, like, just something in my head. I was like, there's a lot of does there. Getting me that time of year, you might see some bucks coming through, just because, they're not living there. They have no interest in being there aside for this one sole reason, this one small window of the year. And it worked out, textbook. First sit, shot that deer. But, it is finding the does this time of year. And like Mike's saying, it is a good problem to have every other time of year aside from right now.
Yeah. They can kind of jam you up though real quick. I think it was I would have to check my notebook. I think it was like 2 or 3 hunts ago. I had 3 of them, 3 does come in, and I'm sitting right on a run. It's pretty much on a bench, so about 3/4 of the way up. So that run cuts, they're just following that hill. And I'm about 20 yards, not even, I'm about 15 yards off that run. And I see them coming. They're on the run. They hit the scent rope. They get in front of my camera and they keep coming. I'm just kind of sitting still. I'm on the camera watching them, and I'm kind of just hoping they just breeze right through. Because I'm like, I don't need 3 does in front of me right now. That's 6 sets of eyes. That's 3 noses I got to beat. Like, I don't need this right now. It's like 8:30. They didn't leave, man. Then one of them came to like 12 yards, just like basically under my tree. The other one's at 20. The other one's somewhere in the middle. And, here comes the nanny dog now, just start walking in. Just she didn't know I was there. And all of a sudden, here we go. Here comes the foot stomp, the whole, the neck bob. And I'm like, this is the second time you've done this to me. I'm not here for you. But you do this again, you're gonna have a long rest of the afternoon. I can promise you that. I have 2 scenarios like that, 2 different spots where I swear there's no way she winded me, saw me. I think that's just public land pressure because they're starting to walk in now and looking up. They're walking in and they're looking up in the trees at this point. And it's only only November, so it's like, look, we got 2 weeks left of real good, buck activity. If you guys are gonna mess around, I'm gonna have to get rid of you. That's really the only time I'll shoot a doe in November, and I have 2 does, and I know which ones they are. If I get a chance at them, I will take them out.
Yeah. Yep. Same.
I agree.
Same,
You want your does around. You want to keep them around as soon as you can, early season, as long as you can in November. I'm going upstate New York for the opening weekend in about a week, so pretty much
and that's
by the
what
time
rifle,
I come
correct?
back, yeah. Well, pretty much the week of Thanksgiving when I'm off. That's like my last like rut hunts. After that, anything's on the table. That's when it really starts becoming a meat hunt at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I told Bianca, I was like, listen, I'm hunting hard until Thanksgiving. Once usually that Thanksgiving time, that's where it's like, all right, now I'm probably just gonna go out and pop a doe. And if eventually the bucks are going to come back to a more normal pattern and it's going to be food crazy. So I'm not worried. I would like to get my buck out the way, but I'm not worried. We still have, especially here in Jersey, we still have the rest of the permit season, and then we still have winter bow, and then we still have 6-day, and then we still have winter bow, right? Where as long as it's cold and a little bit of snow, I'm not asking for a lot of snow. I mean, listen, I'm a huge winter person. I love snow, so like that would be great, but like we need more than what we had last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Rut hunting can be difficult. I feel like we think like, oh, the rut's coming, it'll make our life so much easier.
It is so difficult.
It's just what I was thinking.
It's just chaos in the woods.
Yeah.
Andrew and I were talking. Andrew's been saying this since I've known him now so we're on, for the last 2 years that we've been doing. He hates hunting the rut just because. And I don't want to use his words, but like, you know what I mean? I don't want to say hate, but like, it's so hard because there's so many different scenarios, and the Bucks are just on this crazy. It's like I keep telling everyone, it's like they're freaking out at the 21 at the club.
That's it.
Getting hammered, doing cocaine, and then just trying to have sex. That's all they're trying to do,
Yeah.
right? But they get back into that pattern after, and they're getting back into. We just lost 35%. Usually they lose about 35% of their body weight from the rut. What time is it? They need to pack on those calories. They need food. They need this. And when you have the snow, that you can kind of help track them a little better, figure out where they're bedding. Frozen water. But it's also their food sources start to dwindle, so it's going to get them up and moving. And if you can get a natural food source that's going to stand there long and in the winter, great. If you're in a state like Jersey or wherever where you can bait, you got to hit those bait. And we're not telling you, listen, we use it, and I've been doing this year. Bait up here, scrape down there, and you're hunting somewhere in the middle or around. So you don't have to hunt over bait. I've definitely tried this year to definitely move off of bait, which has worked very well for me. Obviously I haven't shot anything yet, but it has worked very well for me.
I haven't put out any bait this year, and
I like, what I like bait for? Does. And that's a big part of it, is does, and then also seeing what you have there. It kind of concentrates them. And I use a lot of that for intel. You were gonna say something, Peyton?
Well, I was just gonna say, you could find those natural food sources too. And that's something that I'm gonna be spending a lot of time looking into. Finding like the oaks drop at different times, whether it's that red oak, the white oak, the black oak. Finding that too, and then finding what the browse they're eating. And I think, like you were saying, if we do get that cold winter and it is that snow, and I know Tony Peterson was talking about this on the Wired to Hunt podcast the other day. He was hunting South Dakota, and it was just like one single oak in that snowstorm, and that's just what they would all flock to, and that's how he ended up getting it done. And I don't think he didn't seem like it was too much rut activity, but it was just like a situation in which some of us in Long Island, not sure what the Long Island weather's like, but out in Northwest Jersey, you can start to expect some of the patterns in January and late December that you have to look forward to still.
Yep. Definitely. We're gonna wrap this one up soon. Let's get into Bobby's hunt. Real quick. So Bobby, one of our guys, he was out in Virginia on the border of West Virginia at George Washington National Forest. For those of you who are not familiar with it, Peyton, I believe you've hunted there too. This is not the easiest terrain.
It is steep.
It's all mountains.
It is legit. It is nothing to fool with. And I didn't deer hunted it, but I've turkey hunted it, and you're going straight up 1,000 feet. Yeah. And it's not uncommon. Its access is tough up there. That is the name of the game, is finding access and getting to those spots.
So something Bobby likes to do, and he did it on elk, and he's new to hunting, right? But he's gone backpack for elk in Colorado, and now he did this. So they weren't staying at a hotel, they weren't staying at a cabin. They rolled in, set up camp in snow and limited visibility. A lot of fog. They set up camp on top of a ridge line that was off the surface road. There was a road that ran across the ridge, so they drove down about 1.5 miles and traversed down to the basin. On the way down, we were seeing tons of sign, mostly scrapes and licks. We were on hot sign. We were able to pull out a hair from one of the lick branches. We got down into the basin, and that had a dried up creek bottom and made a ground blind for the evening sit. Sat and called with grunts and snort wheezed for about 30 minutes and started to see antlers on the ground. About 10 minutes of combo, they had a buck respond. He grunted and he came within 100 yards. He then circled to get downwind of us and caught our scent. Then, of course, he blew at them and took off on top of the ridge. The next day, they went back to the same spot. We both sat on the opposite sides of the creek bottom and hung probably 200 yards from each other. On top of the ridges were super thick. No, he added something the night before. We actually tried to find an easier way in and ended up walking through the laurels in the dark. Tons of signs, scrapes, rubs, beds. We could only take one step at a time or walk on our hands and knees through the laurels. So great place for them, and they were obviously up there. Back to the second morning, we hung in the morning, and about 9:30 we had a buck come in from the night before. He was a good 6-pointer but very mature deer. Using same grunts, we got another buck to come in, which was a little bigger, and he had 8 points, probably close to 185 pounds, he would say. He ran out the laurels about 80 yards up the ridge, snort wheezed, and went back right into the laurels. So it seems like if they had more time, they probably would have gotten a good poke. And that's really what you could ask for going to a brand new spot. I don't think he's ever scouted it before. Tough mountain country. I would say that was a hell of a hunt. And he got close. Great. Yeah. You can't really ask for much else. And one thing he definitely said when he got back was the good thing is there isn't much pressure. These deer aren't pressured. It's a tough area to hunt, so people really aren't getting up there.
2 million acres, so they get to spread out. It's literally it's like I don't know, 50 miles wide and runs the entire West Virginia border, all the way up from the Tennessee line to Maryland. It's huge.
That's big. Yeah, that's big. So there's a lot of land. So good ups to him. And then quickly I'll give you guys a recap. The last week, it's gone well. I am not gonna complain at all. I had a heartbreaker though. I've been moving a lot trying to find this buck, Brutus. He's a big 8. He's paired with a buck named Zeke. He's a 10-pointer, but not as big of a body. Brutus is definitely the dominant buck. Right, so I've been moving cameras all over the place trying to find him. Put one on top of a ridge, have one on the bottom, and let me tell you, it worked. The only problem is, on the last day before I had to go back to work, it was warmer. I was already run down and tired, and I had to go out and do some stuff that I'll get into the next episode because I will be able to release the information on the next episode because it's going down on Sunday. But so I was like, you know what? Let me go. I'm not gonna hunt. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna move some cameras, yada yada yada, and then I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna rest because I'm gonna work crazy hours so I can get back out and hunt right away. Right? I go out and do that. I get home. I'm in bed. 4:10. Camera goes off. Ding. Okay. Yeah, no, wait, no. It's a little 4-pointer. I'm like, all right, like, cool. Phone keeps going off. I'm like, oh, he must be working that scrape. Take a look. Boom. There is the 8-pointer. Brutus, broad daylight right in front of my camera. Oh. Now, I'm not saying I'm 100% sure I would have hunted that exact spot because, yet again, I'm moving around. I'm being, I got a lot of spots that I'm moving and cruising for, right? But
it's fine. You can never tell. That maybe the reason he's there is because you're not there.
Like sometimes could have been that. I was spraying hot to trot like crazy, and I think that's a big part of why he came down there.
Yeah.
All right. Then. So I was heartbroken. I went outside and I went for a run. I was running. I could not stop thinking about this, right? And a big part of it was I don't even know if he would have slowed down enough for me to get a shot, right? You don't know. The potential had been there, but to see where he came from, I was more upset about the intel that I lost of. I would be able to see exactly where he came from and where he went. That's where I really wanted to see. Of course, I wanted a chance to kill him. Don't get me wrong, but you just never know, right? I could have drawn back like I did last year on Kong. He was at 12 yards and he never gave me a shot, right? You just never know. But seeing that intel, so I was upset.
He still doesn't know he's being hunted yet, though. So
no,
that's a win.
I think he knows because there's other people in there. Like you said, I didn't know there was other people in there. Then came to find out one of the days when I went out in the morning, there's other people in there. Nothing I can do, but I am doing my best, moving and grooving, and doing my best. So the new spot I set up is up on top of the ridge. And he was there every day that I was at work, morning and evening, broad daylight. So he was daylighting three of the 4 days, right? I had him on a pretty good pattern. I am pretty sure he's with a hot doe right now. He's been MIA for the past like 2.5, 3 days. So I'm pretty sure he's with the doe. I'm waiting for him to come off that doe. Still haven't seen the 10-pointer yet because I think he got pushed out and he had to go find somewhere else. There was another buck. He's either a spike or a 4-pointer or whatever. His body might be as big as this 8-pointers. I saw him this morning, and let me tell you, with the body like that, and when I saw him, I was like, you know what?
Do you think it was one of those deer I had on camera that I sent you? Because there was those are some big 6-pointer, 4-corn.
Could have been. I would have to. I'll send you the picture. But Dave, when I tell you, this was he was rutted up, and it's like, I want the big 8, but listen, a 4-pointer like that, or I couldn't tell if he had tines or anything. He could have been a 6, right?
I'm sure it's out there, but if you could see like a time lapse video, you take any buck, let's say, and you see the transformation from like mid-October to early November between the body size, the neck size, the hair starts standing up. Like it really is amazing, like the science and the genetics behind, let's call it like a 3-week span, or maybe a little bit longer, but the transformation from beginning to end, it's truly, until you start, paying attention. Oh my goodness.
That's his body. And he doesn't have, if you look at his antler, like it's not anything crazy. I think he's a 4 or a 6. Yeah, it's very hard because you got to branch it. So I couldn't really tell, but
text me that.
He's a chunk.
I'm going to.
Deer, man. You'll need a hand dragging him out.
Oh, well.
That was something else we talked about, is that, and Mike asked me, he was like, well, should I hunt the ridge? It's a little harder to get to. And I was like, and this might have been like, I've just lucked out.
Falls downhill.
Yeah. Might have been I lucked out. I had a lot of help dragging the bear out, but it's like my process doesn't get there. It's like I'm going to where I think I can kill one, and I'll figure it out from there. And if I'm out there all night cutting it out into pieces, then I'll do it. But it's just like, I don't think if your objective is go kill a big buck, go to where the big bucks are and figure it out the rest. Cross that bridge when you get there.
Listen,
and that might be terrible advice, and you might be cursing me if you actually follow that and you shoot one, but then you'll thank yourself. You'll forget about that sucking part. Like,
you're gonna someone's gonna take your advice. Someone's gonna take your advice and shoot a giant buck like 3 miles in a swamp, and be like, I should have never listened to this Peyton kid. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
for a couple hours and then thank me for years. So
I listen. I figured it out.
Like you said,
yeah.
When you sit there,
type 2 fun.
It's worth it.
We're going, when I shoot a deer, if he doesn't run up and he goes down, we're going down. We're dragging him all the way out into my other spot where the because like I said, there's a top and there's a bottom. I got 2 spots. I looked at the map. We can easily, it's actually, I was a lot close. It's not as far as I thought. It's just thick. Yeah. But that's what they like. But let's, we want to talk some grunt talk, and Dave, you just pulled it out. You got the Primo's, what is it called? Primo's buck grunt.
I forgot we were even actually going to talk about this. So yeah, it's the, this is what I used the other day in that video, and it's the Primo's grunt wheeze. So this is the snort wheeze tube on the top there. And then Mike, this is actually where me and you had a difference in opinion. And we could talk on it real quick. I know we're getting towards the end here. Mm-hmm. So when you take the mouthpiece off on this one, just slides apart real easy. It's the rubber O-ring style. Can you guys see that? I don't know where to put it.
Yeah, you're good right there.
Yeah, okay. Right there.
So that's the O-ring right there. And then as you slide that, basically it's like a duck call. It's got the reed. When this vibrates, this is what makes your tone. So right now it's all the way towards the bottom, down on I think they call it like trophy buck. So real deep guttural sound. The higher up you slide it, you'll get into young buck, young doe, doe bleat, estrus bleat, and real simple to blow. I like it. It's got a good deep sound. And again, as you slide that O-ring up, it'll get more of a high pitch. You do have to adjust how you huff for you. It's like a goose call almost. It's got to come from your diaphragm, so you should feel your belly going in and out when you're blowing on it. You can kind of cup your hands. I don't want to give too many tips on calling. I don't call a lot. I keep it very simple. For whatever it is worth in that video, I was able to stop that buck, turn that buck, and get him to come in like on a string, like he was looking like ready for the smoke. So again, I keep it very simple. I don't do it a lot, but if I had to choose maybe between a grunt and my rattle bag, I would say I'm probably going to take my grunt. This one in particular more than the rattle bag. At the very least, it can give you that quick. If they are running, you can hit them with a quick, and chances are they'll at least stop.
I do think cupping your hands, like you said, I've noticed that too, is that creating that back pressure, like on a goose
Yeah,
call,
like I
does
said,
give
it's
you a little more,
back pressure
bass
similar to
to
a
it.
goose
Yeah,
call.
it's a little. I think it makes it a little deeper and a little better sounding too. So that's a good tip.
Yeah.
I will definitely say that. So this is my favorite call. This is what I use. I've bought others. I have the other one that Pete has as well. It's the extinguisher.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
slides. We Peyton and I talked about this off camera a few days ago. But that one just seems more high pitched, right? When
Yeah.
you're making that buck call, the primos, that sounds like a mature buck. Like that's
Yeah.
what you want. Yes, you can also change it where it'll go a little higher. I also like that too as well. So you can change it for
Yeah.
different tones. You can make it seem like there's more deer there also, you know, with the extinguisher, you don't really get that. Um, and then also, I'm a huge snort wheeze person. Like I am a huge I will throw that in, especially if I see a deer in the distance. I will grunt, 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 and then snort wheeze are one grunt and then a big snort wheeze.
Hmm.
If that gets their attention, sometimes it intimidates them, and I've talked about this on the podcast before. That's where sometimes you're gonna intimidate a deer. Sometimes the younger ones get curious and they still come in. Sometimes the bigger ones where you think that, oh, you're gonna challenge this bigger buck, he doesn't want anything to do with it. Deer are very unique. They all have their own personalities, just like humans and everything like that. You get those bruisers, you get those fighters, and then you get those timid ones. You just don't know, but I do like having the snort wheeze in my back pocket. It's not always going to work. Grunting doesn't always work. Rattling doesn't always work. It does help. It's situational, like Andrew always says. But it's something that you could use. It's unique, especially this time of the year. This is really the only time of the year I really use it. I really use it end of October till probably till Thanksgiving, maybe a little after Thanksgiving if I see some activity that still says I should. But after that, I'm not a big grunt person. I'm not a big rattle person either. I do carry the rattle, which we'll get into when we talk about what we carry for our all day sit. But I'm not a I'm not a huge rat. I haven't had the same success that I have with grunting and snort wheezing at deer.
The best little piece of advice I could give, maybe like a new hunter or a first year hunter, obviously you need to be in the scenario, but actually listen to young deer, young bucks, and more mature deer. Listen to the does, how they vocalize with each other. I think calling, we go down like the YouTube rabbit holes, whether it's for deer, turkey, waterfowl, the cadence, all this other. It, in nature, the animals are very simplistic with their vocalizations and their calls. You hear a young. I heard it all this morning. A young buck. And it was very low, but it was more of a drawn out. It was almost like a. But again, a lot of times they do it without even opening their mouth, so it's a different pitch, it's a different sound. It's very guttural, I guess is the best way to describe it. So the best advice I could say is if even just record them on your phone and listen to it when you get home. That's it's like when you're turkey hunting and you're worried about what your turkey call sounds like, but meanwhile you listen to the hens and you're like, wait a minute, is that a hunter or is that the real thing? We get so caught up with how we sound, and then you hear the real thing in real life, and it's like, oh man, that sounds nothing like what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
So a couple of quick little grunts, the stories can be effective. I think I've scared more deer off. As soon as I snort wheeze, all I see is tails. I'm like 0 for 3, I think, with a snort wheeze, but it's worth a shot. If they're already going,
The last
why not?
ditch effort.
Yeah, yeah, you never know. It could just be that
Yeah.
one thing that sparks them.
What
It's
else
like,
we got to lose at that point?
And
yeah,
and that's what I usually use it as. It's really got to be a buck that he is clear, because I've grunted too, and they just don't pay any attention. But when I hit that with that grunt and the snort wheeze, that's where I'll usually get them to stop.
right.
Yes, I've had deer tuck tail in and run away. I've had deer come in, and I've had deer just look. I'm curious for a second, but you know what? I think I want to try to find me a doe and just slowly, casually walk off. So you just never know what you're gonna get. All right. So last real quick part, we'll go. Peyton, why don't you talk about this one, since this was your topic.
Yeah, so I had this idea. I was packing for the all day sits. I did all day sit Friday, all day sit Saturday. And I was trying to think of like what to put in. And I was like, all right, it kind of be cool to talk about. I know a lot of people done it. And it might be, kind of beat down, but I had I think some unique things that I've been running. So the one thing was actually Mark Kenyon's suggestion, was all those snacks I bring in is like, which was just, little stuff. Um, is I put those silicone Ziploc bags. I take everything out and I put it all in there.
Yeah.
Much quieter,
Yeah.
which I think is a power move going forward. Power banks. I try not to be on my phone too much in the stand, but when you're sitting for 12 straight hours, you're gonna need to, and especially it's like where we hunt and I was going in deep. It's just a safety thing, using that Onyx to get out, especially like in situations like Bobby, when you're out in those hills. It's a safety thing, using that to get out. I learned this one from a buddy well, I think we both kind of came to the same conclusion, but he's hiking the Appalachian Trail. It's like keep those like Charmin wet wipes in your bag for when those come in handy. It's small, very small, come in handy. There's the rattle antler is something I carry too. The rattle bag. I don't use them. I think I have an opinion on rattling that it almost has to be done from the ground.
Okay.
Kicking the leaves and breaking sticks and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it sounds really unrealistic if you're having a full blown deer fight and there's nothing else going on.
Have you
So
seen the method where guys lower them down with their pull-up rope and then
my
bounce
dad
them up?
does that. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and he
Okay.
hangs them from the pull rope. But you can't do it with a rattle bag though. So it's like that's the
No,
trade-off.
That's
Yeah, you need the real things. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like you're kind of committing to either you hunt on the ground and you're gonna rattle, or you're not gonna rattle in the trees. Kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, the biggest thing that I've kind of run into is you got to also, and me and American Mike were DMing back and forth on Instagram about this, is like you got to carry your clothes in, especially this time of year. And if you're going in deep, I went in like a mile and I walked in with all the jackets strapped up, and it still wasn't enough. I got in, and once you start sweating and then you get up in the tree and then I'm ripping all the layers off, 10 minutes later on that 32-degree morning, I'm piling them all back on, and it's just not the same because they're a little damp and they're a little steamy, and now I'm shivering.
Yeah.
So you got to
I'm gonna
make sure to.
piggyback on your conversation there, and I'll put a different spin on it. If you know you're gonna do an all day sit, your prep work for that all day sit actually starts the day before. You
100%.
wanna get hydrated, fully hydrated. Multivitamins, we should be taking them. We're not getting any younger, so we should be taking our vitamins anyway. But definitely make sure you're hydrated. You got your vitamins. Plan out honestly your dinner the night before accordingly. Just for all the reasons we're kind of talking about here. Don't go on a Taco Bell splurge, the night before an all day sit. Try and keep it, clean, filling. Um, Simple things like to keep in your pack, like Pepto Bismol, in case you do get a sour stomach or whatever. Water. any type of like electrolyte solution, you know, whether it's Gatorade or whatever you want, anything like that. That's really it, man. I totally agree. If you start sweating, you got a long day ahead of you. So either like I'm not a big jacket guy. It's all on my base layers. Like this was one of them. And I was lucky enough. My walk in today wasn't too far. If I would have gone any further, I would have had to start stripping down the layers. But I agree. Go in with as least amount on as possible. As soon as you get to your tree, pretty much, all right, slap it back on.
Yeah.
Portable chargers, absolutely. You know, for us with the cameras, have your extra batteries, you know, headlamps, compass. You know, there is a joke, an inside joke going around on our lives about the compass. They're small. They don't take up a lot of room. They're not heavy. God forbid you, for any reason, you don't have service on your phone, your battery really does go dead. At least you have a compass, you know.
Now the thing there is, when I hunted Virginia, I was anticipating no service. You can download specific areas on Onyx, and you can work them offline, and your GPS will still work without service. So that's
Okay.
another pro tip.
That's
If you're going into an area where you don't you're not going to have service, pick out those areas you want to hunt, do your e-scouting, and then download all those maps. And you can download big areas. I mean, it's just like a PDF. It doesn't take up a lot of space on your phone, and
Okay.
then your GPS will still work. It'll still point you. Your compass will still work without service, and you can still get out that way. But yeah, compass is also something a good idea.
Yeah.
I
No,
still
that's a
throw
good
them in
little
on
tip
occasion.
though. I didn't know it. I didn't even think of that. That's good.
100%.
Yeah.
There really isn't much for me to add. I mean, in my pack is kind of all the same things. I did a rookie mistake and I left my GoPro batteries in the truck today because I charged them and I forgot to put them in my pack. I'm a liquid IV person, so I actually have a bag in my hunting bag, liquid IV batteries from AA to AAA.
Yep.
I have vitamin emergency in there too as well.
Yeah. Ibuprofen, any little
yeah,
thing like that. Yeah.
of
That's a good
course.
tip.
Listen, dude wipes. I'm a dude wipes person, but anything, toilet paper, whatever, that is essential. And especially what I like about toilet paper, if you want to just do the toilet paper avenue, that could also be used in your after kill kit as well when you're
That's
tracking deer and stuff
exactly
like that.
what I use with that, and you don't leave
Yeah.
that ugly pink marking tape that you see
Yeah.
all through the woods that I
Yeah.
hate to look at. And you get a
Yep.
good rain and it dissolves and it's gone, and nobody has to look at it.
Yeah.
Like, not that forever plastic.
I like to bring, I don't have it with me, but my bow tool, just a little wrench, just because I've had things just get loose on me. And you don't want to have to track all the way back to the truck, because I keep one in the truck, I keep one in my house, and I keep one on me at all time, just in case. This year more than ever, my bow equipment has gotten loose, and I think it's because I'm going in such thick stuff.
Right.
I am not, like, my bow has taken a beating this year. Even getting up in the saddle, like I've hunted more than I've probably ever so far in my last 2 years out of a saddle. So even sometimes, like, I'm getting in trees that have branches all over the place, like it's taking a beating. It hits into the stick, like it's just taking a beating. So that is very important as well. Extra water, but I love what Dave said. He hit it 100% on the head.
Yeah,
hydrate before, eat the proper food. Listen, I will tell you guys personally, and I haven't had a sip of alcohol since August 5th, since my 30th birthday. Really? I will tell you, from doing that and changing my eating habits. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm starting to get into the realm where I actually talked to my doctor today. I was like, hey, listen, I'm about to start drinking again. And it's the holidays, so but sure. I think from now on, this is what I'm going to do, starting probably after my birthday. I'm just going to stop drinking until probably once the holidays start. I feel a lot better. I got a lot more energy. I actually cut a lot of weight, but it's also, I don't have to go to the bathroom as bad as I normally do. And everyone who knows me really well, listen, I get stomach problems, especially when I drink, and then I'll start just eating whatever. It hurts me for a morning hunt, because let's you know what I mean. That has actually helped me a lot, where I can get into the morning and not really have those stomach issues that I was having in the years prior. So that was actually, Dave, I really like that. That's what you said, because it starts the day before.
Yeah, and I'm bad about drinking water in the stand, like when I'm hunting.
Me too.
Like,
Yeah, me too.
Like more often than not, like I'll bring in water and I'll hardly touch it. So it's chugging water when you get home and on the ride out and the night before.
It's weight though too. I mean, I brought in 5. I brought in 5 water bottles today, so that's a good amount. I mean, I drank them all. You know, I was in the tree, fully rigged up by 6. Came
Are
out.
you just running just like regular plastic water bottles?
Yeah, there's gonna be a revamp in my setup
I've been thinking about that too.
next
Because I've been
season.
running an Nalgene, but I think because I don't want to run a Camelback, but I think REI sells like bag water bottles, so it's like not gonna clink around when I'm walking in.
I will say this: if you're doing
quiet.
water bottles and you're done with them, just drop them to the ground, because this new recycled plastic on all of them, if you even look at it, it just goes, wow, this I got water. It just and it's loud
Pick
as
them
all
up
hell.
on your way out. Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's
as
a
soon
good
as
tip.
I'm done, I don't even put it back in my pack. I drop it to the ground. Then obviously, yes, when you climb down, you throw them back in your pack, but it don't matter at that point.
Yeah.
Real smart. But anything else? I think that would wrap everything up.
I appreciate you having me on. I'll definitely do this again later on. You know, it's
definitely
we're steady on the course here. That's really the game plan right now. It's just for me, it's more time in the stand equals better chance for me. That's where I'm at on my journey.
Keep that positive mental attitude.
The best way I can, the best way I know how. So that's how I'm doing it. We're trying.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Keep it up. Love it. Can't wait to one more, we could talk off camera because Bianca's gonna kill me if I don't start planning when we're going to the Great American Outdoor Show. She texts me more about the Great American Outdoor Show than she literally texts me, she goes, "We need to get the dates together." And I go, "For what?" She goes, "For ... the Great American Outdoor Show." I go, she's always excited to go to this show. So we'll talk off camera about it. But thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll see you guys next time.